Hello and welcome to the Writer Inspired Show. This is going to be part two of my deep dives, part of my deep dive series, which I'm really excited to be talking to Sally today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. We usually go straight into this, so I'd just like you to say a little bit about yourself and what sort of challenges you've got, and obviously a bit about your books and what you've been doing.
Sure. Okay. So I've been writing now for approximately 5 years. I currently have 3 novels available through Amazon. I'm currently working on my 4th, and I have a couple of other titles which are there's a poetry collection and a mental health self-help guide that are all available. I'm just in the middle of writing my 4th novel at the moment. I predominantly work within the lesbian fiction or LGBT kind of genre, but I mix that with a new kind of genre where I incorporate disabled characters into the story wherever possible, or characters who are living with mental health conditions, that type of thing. Because I'm part of the LGBT community myself, because I'm disabled, I feel that I want to be able to put a lot of my own personal experiences that I faced within the world into fiction, and I thought that the best way of doing that was to start writing. I felt that there was a niche for that. There was a lack of that being written within the writing world, and I just thought I was lucky enough to get my first book published by an old friend of mine who had changed jobs and had recently started her own publishing company, and we happened to bump into each other, and I told her that I'd written this first draft, just purely because I wanted to get it out of my system, because I felt that there was a need for it. And she published it, and ever since then I've fallen in love with writing and haven't stopped.
That's awesome. And so just with these the book that you're currently writing, it's LGBT. I'll probably pronounce this wrong. LGBT with disabled. Is that the sort of story? Okay.
Yes, that's awesome. The storyline. The character, the lead character, her name is Tony. I'll give you a brief outline of the story. She was a very successful LA detective and got seriously injured on duty. She was shot and becomes a wheelchair user. She's married. She's married to her partner, Mel, so they're part of the LGBT community. So they went through a big change in their lives, because she went from being a successful LA cop, very highly decorated, very well thought of, was given awards by the White House and by the government. And during a case, she got almost fatally injured, and it changed the course of her life. So she goes through her rehab and retrained as a lawyer, and ends up working for a really good law firm based in LA. And they happen to be given the responsibility. This is sort of 3 or 4 years into her rehab, and once she's retrained, they get given the job of prosecuting the gang that are still running, that were responsible for her injury in the first place. So she gets a chance for revenge.
Sounds good. So with that, what's your biggest challenge at the moment?
I think it comes down to 2 things. It is my own physical and mental energy, because I have a physical disability, and there are a lot of complications with all of that. My physical health can be very up and down. I'm actually struggling at the moment, but also because I live in the world surviving with mental health, separate to any of that. Anyway, so it depends. I can have a really good day and I can get loads of words done one day, or I can be feeling physically not very well and find it hard to find the energy to actually get it done, or I'm having what I call a black day, a bad mental health day, for whatever reason that is. So I find that whole side of it quite challenging, but also being a person that's sort of, this is the only thing that I do, and I don't have a job to back me up financially. I find all of the outsourcing kind of jobs that most authors do really challenging, because I don't have the money to throw at giving my ideas to a designer to come up with a great book cover, or the editing is always a major problem, and I've always been advised to sort of get a professional editor to go over your manuscripts before you go to publishing. But financially, I'm not in a position to do any of that. So I've found that within this book that I'm writing now and the book that I brought out last year, apart from the front cover, which I did source out very, very cheaply, I'm having to do it all myself. And because I don't have the financial backing to sort of give somebody a budget and say, right, okay, you do the editing and proofreading, and oh yeah, and you come up with a front cover for me. I don't have the finances to do that. It's all on me. So there's a lot of pressure on me to learn new skills, and which is challenging, and find creative ways of working alongside other people that have got the skills that I might be able to sort of pull a few favors from here and there. It's not having the financial backing is really challenging, but it doesn't stop me from wanting to write, because it's in me, and I'm being creative, and I'm coming up with ideas for new stories all of the time. It doesn't stop that, but it does hinder my progression, I think, to actually get more actually written and out there, because I just don't have, when it comes to it, I just don't have the financial backing to say, right, okay, well, this one's ready, I can give that to this person to sort out. I can give that person, that designer, my ideas for the book, and wait for it all to come to me. It's all down to me, and I find that really challenging.
Okay, so just to unpack that, if it's okay.
Sure,
number one,
sure.
Your challenge is obviously your mental health issues that you have to deal with. Number two is the challenge of finances and trying to get that sorted out. And number three is obviously you want to stay in what I call your genius zone, so where you enjoy the most work.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because you don't have the money, you can't portion out your jobs to other people. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good summary. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if it's okay, this is a few things that I can perhaps suggest to you to help. Number one is, obviously, I always ask this for people that obviously struggle with mental health, and I'm somebody that has done for about 35 years, so I can totally relate to that, sort of like the things you have to deal with. What do your thoughts say? So when you're sort of like sitting there and you're sort of finding it quite challenging, what sort of things are you thinking about when that's happening?
Well, the sort of the common sort of phrases and voices that I hear are, "You're not good enough." Nobody's going to take any notice. No one's interested in your genre. There's too many other lesbian authors out there that are high profile, and you're nobody. Nobody knows about you. You haven't got the same profile as them, so you're not going to get the same following, and just really awful negative things that my brain tells me, which has a really negative effect.
Okay. Well, I said this in my first one, and I'll say this in this one too, because I think it's just as appropriate, if I'm honest. There's a stat by the New York Times. They did a study, and they found that 81% of Americans want to write a book, but only 1% actually publish the book because of the emotional and the mental things you have to deal with to be able to publish that. You've written and published 3, is that correct?
4, yeah, but I'm working on the 4th. Yeah, there's 3 currently, and I'm working on the 4th.
Yeah, 4. You've done 4, right? So
yeah.
You've not just done 1, which is an amazing achievement in itself, right? You've done 4, right? And so for me, I think that's amazing in itself. But again, you have gone to 4, so you're looking at not that 1%. You're probably looking at about 3 or 4% of that 1%. That's how far up you are. So and again, imposter syndrome is something that we all suffer with, because we put so much time, effort and pain into writing our books. we can't see the woods from the trees really from what it actually is. So I'm just trying to sort of say to you really that actually what you're doing is amazing, and the fact that you are highlighting something, people that from the LGBT, and apologies, I probably get that pronunciation.
Right.
I always get it wrong.
Right.
LGBT community, and the fact that you're also doing an amazing thing with people with disabilities as well. Keep driving with that. And one thing I would suggest as well, any reviews you get, any messages from people, anything you feel that is something that you should be proud of, or any milestones you've had during your sort of like growth from being someone who just published their first book right through to where you are now, I would have it in a folder, whether you want to write it down or whether you want to do a screenshot and put it in a little folder. So when you're feeling down and thinking, do you know what, I'm rubbish, do me a favour, open it up and then just start going through it, because honestly, that's enough. No, I my first book, I thought it was terrible. My book was absolutely terrible. But I've had people messaging me saying that the reason that they're still alive is because of reading my book. I've had people say the only reason why I can get to sleep at night is because your book's underneath my pillow. And it's just like, whoa, don't realise. And that's the effect that you've had on other people. And I just want you to sort of like understand that actually, please don't feel bad about what you're doing. Yes, it's hard, because as authors and writers, we have to go into the darkest parts of our mind to pull out these experiences to write to help others. If I go to work, or if you went to work, you'd be going, do you know what, I feel really rubbish today, but I can still do my job. Whereas if you're feeling rubbish and you want to write, you can't, because you've got to fight yourself. It's just really difficult. So be kind and understanding yourself. Obviously, we have to go through a hell of a lot as writers. So that's the first thing I'd suggest with that. Okay. The next thing, if it's okay, I want to talk about finances as well. And I can understand from your viewpoint how difficult that must feel like, because at the moment, finances are, that you don't get much money. You'd be lucky if you can afford to sort of like have enough food, for the week. So that is a very challenging thing. A few things I would sort of like look into if I were you. There's a Canva, which although is free, there is obviously paid things which you don't have to go through, but Canva's got some good things, and you might be able to an opportunity there to perhaps look at your book cover, your ebook, and sort of do something on there.
I've just done that. I've actually created the cover for the new one using Canva. So yeah, I use Canva a lot because I do a lot of posting with my other hat on as a life coach.
Okay.
I do a lot of posting. I use Instagram a lot, and I do a lot of inspirational quotes and posts and things like that. And I use Canva a lot to create those posts, to create visuals. So I'm pretty adept at that software, and I really like it. It's great. If I think of something I want to post, like straight away I think, right, Canva, and I'm straight to it. And apart from some minor editing that a friend who's a visual artist did on her computer, and I sent her a basic template that I'd created, I've done this next cover myself. And I just hope that I get some good feedback from it, because, like I say, I don't have the money to outsource it. So, but I've got a professional to run their eye over it, and for as a favour, has made a few tweaks. So I really hope that I can get some positive feedback about that, because if I don't, it'll crush me, because I don't have the finances to pay someone.
A few suggestions. You obviously talked about your life coach and stuff as well, but a question that I've sort of like asked on a regular basis: what sort of other skills can I bring in? It may be a case of, for a time being, you have to sort of like go to one side for a bit and find other things you need to do to generate the money to pay for your book covers and pay for that type of stuff. Obviously have a budget. That would be a suggestion. Again, one of the things that Rich Litfin talks about for us coaches is to do podcasts and just show you coaching other people and doing it for free and just getting that sort of thing. So when people want to know a bit about you, then that's your opportunity to sort of show them what it is. And it's not about advertising, it's about, this is what I do. So show them the experience rather than the process. Does that make sense? Because I think that's really important.
It does.
Because not many.
It's funny you should say that, because I've actually just started doing my own podcast.
Wicked.
Yeah.
And then say utilize Facebook. Make sure your profile is really strong as well, and just sort of like start talking to people like you would be talking to them. Does that make sense? How they talk themselves, all that type of stuff, and you'll find that
Yeah.
that's the way to perhaps build it. And obviously sort of have a sort of set thing in there as well, because one thing I want to try and sort of impress upon you really is that not having enough money is a mindset. And one of the things that and I'm in the same position, if I'm honest. If I say to myself I can't afford it, then I'm looking at things I focus on that I can't afford. Something that I would sort of suggest you look at as well, again, this is just an invitation really. I've challenged myself every single week to read a book. Now at the moment I'm reading a book that's about 400 pages, 400 pages, about 490 odd pages. So I'm being a bit more understanding, but my challenge is I'll read a book a week. Now, obviously, you can do it at the library and stuff like that. So there might be something that, I want to expand my knowledge on this and sort of just to get you that sort of mindset. And there's some amazing books. I'm quite happy to sort of like talk you through a few of them if you can sort of do that. This is a recommendation, and just sort of see what you can achieve. And if you start focusing on what you can do rather than worrying about the finances, that may help. Well. So that's just a suggestion with that. As far as the mental health side of things, so what I do is I meditate. Now, is that something that you've been able to do? Just talk me through what sort of challenge, what you've done.
I do mindfulness every day. I do mindfulness meditation every day. Yeah, I use it a lot. I've been using it now for coming up 4 years, 5 years. I use it every day. I use it a lot.
How long for?
Each session's about 15-20 minutes.
Okay.
Usually do it at night, just before I go to bed.
Okay. Just so once a day, 20 minutes at night.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what I do. Again, you can take the information or you're not really. It's just information. But what I do is I get up really early now, and I'll do about half an hour in the morning. I do a midday reset for half an hour, and then I do sort of half an hour, 45 minute at night. And again, use YouTube. There's loads of things in there, and I've noticed that since I've started doing that, I actually also, unaware, I'm automatically meditating during the day. So I'll be breathing right, and I'll just be focusing on my breath and stuff like that. And I found that quite powerful for me. And what I did in the past is I went like 3 years, I think 2 or 3 years of meditating, sort of 15 minutes a day, sometimes 5. It only sort of like was the surface help of anxiety. Does that make sense?
Right.
I feel longer, it's done more for me. And the last 3 or 4 weeks, I feel that my anxiety has just gone right back again, because I went through sort of 2 or 3 months of hell, if I'm honest. Very recently, to the point where I started to have panic attacks again for the first time in sort of 4 odd years, which is something that's gone, hang on, I need to sort this out. So that's what I've done. So I'll recommend you do. So rather than having just the surface sort of like keeping you topped up of it, that's the right word, go really deep in and just do it. So that'd be a suggestion. OM harmonics, have you heard of that?
No.
Okay, so if you've not got the time during the day, OM harmonics, put the headphones on, look on YouTube, and they have sort of like some music that you can listen to, and you can naturally bliss you out. So I used to do it when I'm doing taking my car, driving to work and stuff like that. Although I don't recommend it because it can send you to sleep, and it has done for me. Housework, or you do anything around the house, then that's something that I listen to. So that might be a suggestion for you. And the last thing that I would suggest, and I found this absolutely amazing, I journal. So I've got myself a posh journal, and I'll sit there, and when I'm feeling frustrated and annoyed, particularly at night, I will sit and write. But that's just for me. You don't have to buy one. You can use Evernote or something on here and just sort of type. But sometimes it just at least it's not for me to solve a problem. It's not for me to make accusations. It's just how I feel, so I can get it out. So at night, sometimes in particular, I can just write it and it's clear. It's out of my head. I don't have to worry now.
I've got out of the habit of doing that. I used to do that a lot. But I'm one of these people. It's a bit like going on a new diet or going to the gym. I'll do it for a while and then I'll get bored of it or find an excuse not to do it, and then I stop doing it. I find it difficult to keep the discipline. I find it easy to do the discipline with the mindfulness because I know that if I don't, I'm not going to get a good sleep. So you know that's to me that is important to me in my nighttime routine is brushing my teeth or having a shower, you know. But doing the journaling stuff, I've really slipped out of doing again.
Okay, fair enough. What I would suggest with this as well is sort of praise yourself when you start doing it. And you know, I've actually noticed now that I get a bit anxious when I'm not done it. I've got to get my midday set. I've got to because I can start to feel myself. And again, this is me a bit obsessive, but I actually notice when I'm doing my breathing how anxious I am by how my breathing is. So I can sort of note myself. So perhaps for me as an overthinker and somebody that sort of thinks a lot about what's going on, that helps me have a bit more sort of understanding as well. And I've actually noticed that I'm far more happier and far more calmer, and there's times of pockets of joy. So each time you do stuff like that, just note it, so it sort of like reinforces the fact. And the big thing that I would suggest as well is your identity. So you have to make this part of who you are. I meditate. That's what I do. That's who I am. I meditate. So the world could be blown up around you, but I need to make sure that I've meditated today. And again, it's just up to you. But if you start, you know, if it could be like 5 minutes in the morning and then build it up, that's what I suggest you do. So it gives you a couple of seconds, if that, of space between what your thoughts say to how you react to it. And having that power is amazing, because you can go, do you know what, that's just rubbish, because you know as well as I do, your thoughts, most of them, 99.9% of them, are just absolute rubbish, that, you know, that completely meaningless. But if you can just allow it, just go on. It's when we actually grab hold of that thought and we then think it over, that's when we start feeling the way we do. But if we just go, like, I consider it balloons. So you know, these big, massive balloons you've got, you let them off, and you're just sitting there and you're watching them, and just let them go. Let them go. And I've been able to do that quite often now. I feel this annoyance, and I just go, it doesn't matter, just let it go. and it's gone. You know, feel it go over me. And again, you know, sometimes you've got pain with it as well, and you can feel it sort of burning and it going up. But that's what I would do. Again, there's a gentleman called Ram Dass, I think it is. I'm quite happy to sort of like, again, you'll probably have to look at the library, but I'm quite happy to show you the thing. But it's written in the 1970s, which is absolutely amazing book on meditation. And there's not just, you know, there's other stuff as well where you can sort of do chakras and sort of chanting and stuff. But again, it's what you feel comfortable with. But that's what I would personally do.
Okay. I'm making a few notes.
Yeah, no props. That's good. That's good.
I'm making a few notes as we go along, because I won't remember this. So like I say, I do. I journal. I used to journal quite a lot, but because I'm doing a lot of writing at the moment anyway, because I'm trying to finish the book, doing more journaling, more writing, for me is like it's extra work. So that's kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit, because I've just been so concentrated on when I'm writing, when I'm putting my brain in gear for writing, it's all geared towards the book. But I'll try and pick it up again.
There was a suggestion instead then. Do you have Google Docs?
I don't, but I can certainly get it. I've had it in the past, because I wasn't using it. I deleted it, but I can use it again.
Okay. Because the suggestion I've got with you is voice typing. So
all right,
put voice typing. It's free. Just put it on the voice typing. It's not always perfect, but it doesn't always need to be, because all you're doing is releasing how you're feeling. So it could be a case of sort of like a journal. So rather than going, I've got to write something, you're not going to write it because you've got that pain or what it is. But you just go, do you know what? Actually, 2 minutes before I go to bed, I'm going to put down here and write it, or speak. Write it. It's gone. It's done. So that might help you. Do you know what? Today I feel rubbish. This has happened. That's happened. I don't feel I've done etc. etc. You've got that opportunity. So that's perhaps a suggestion for you. And again, you can have it on there. You can delete it if you want. It's entirely up to you. You can keep them. But again, there may be a suggestion for you to help.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make a note of that, and I'll look into that. That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Vision of something I've sort of spoke to you earlier about, but when you go absolutely mad on this and just open up your mind to what you can do. So in 3 years' time, and we have a phone call conversation, you talk to me about what's happened since this chat. Let me know where are you, what you're doing, how's life for you.
Okay. Okay. Well, my books will have gone #1 bestseller on Amazon.
What, in US?
And the US. That's one of the things that I'm doing with the new book. Actually, I'm writing it. I'm writing because it's based in LA. I'm using a lot of the word and a lot of the language that I'm using. I'm using American terminology to appeal more to the American audience, which is a new skill for me because everything else has all been UK based.
Yeah.
But I thought if I wanted to branch out a little bit and get a US audience, maybe that's something I need to do. So this book, I've actually challenged myself to do that, and I've really enjoyed that. That's good. So yeah, #1 bestseller, guest author on various podcasts and radio shows, to increase maybe the awards that I've got. I've got one already, which I got 2 years ago that I'm very proud of. Maybe to be recognised with some more awards. To be appearing at events and festivals and on panels, to be regular guests on these sorts of things, these events, to be appearing at Pride events, to be appearing at disability events, and showcasing my work, having a fan base, and to have a profile, to be well known, and to be respected as a leading figure, leading author that's creating work in this very specific genre that I think I feel that I'm pioneering. I'd like to be recognised for that.
Just a question going back. What's the award that you had 2 years ago?
It was called. It's from an organisation called Diva. They're the country's leading LGBT magazine for women. But they have a lot of umbrella organisations, and one of the things that they do every year is they have a big ceremony where they recognise leading LGBT people within the community. So writers, actors, singers, musicians, politicians, business owners, LGBT allies, all right across society. They have a big award ceremony where you have to have your name put forward as a possible suggestion, and then those get whittled down to a shortlist, and then once it gets into a shortlist, the individuals themselves, you have to basically go out and find the votes yourself through all of your social media. And my category was community champion, and there was 5 people in my category. There was myself, there was a Paralympic athlete, there was a England women's footballer, there was a leading figure in mental health first aid, who was an ex person within the forces, and there was another leading figure who's championing the whole world of transgender, and myself, and I won.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
Out of all those people who've got millions of followers all over the place, and huge profile. I mean, you think an England women's footballer that won a World Cup bronze medal back in 2014 or whenever it was, at the pinnacle of her career, he doesn't get much bigger than that. A current Paralympic athlete doesn't get much bigger than that. That won gold medals in the last two Olympics that we've had, and all the rest of it, And then me, I'm like, how did that happen?
How you're talking about imposter syndrome and not feeling good enough, but that's absolutely amazing, and
that's what brings me back. That's what I use to bring me back. I can see the award. I'm in my place where I write. I'm here. And if I'm having a bad day, this is my this is my spot. This is like, if you watch Big Bang Theory, I'm in my spot on this sofa, and I do all of my creative work here in my spot. And if I'm having a bad day, I can look across to where my fireplace is, right across there, and the Diva award is sat there. And all I have to do is look up and think, I did that. Why am I giving myself such a hard time for this? I did that. And it really does help. It's brought me out of some really dark places, because I nearly gave up writing altogether 3 years ago after some really difficult times. I was being bullied and trolled on social media, and it really knocked my confidence in a really bad way, and I nearly gave up. But getting that award keeps me going, because I think if I can do that, I can achieve anything.
Yeah, absolutely right. You know, and I can. My heart goes out to you. It's disgusting, some people's behaviour, but you know, I don't really want to give them the air. To be honest with you, I only feel that, you know, my heart goes out to you. You know, and you should be massively proud of yourself. And that's what you've achieved 2 years ago. You know, and I'm going to push you with your vision. Awesome that you'll be #1 on Amazon in the US and in the UK. But I want to push you a little bit more, and I want you to try and open up your dream a bit more, because the reason why I say that is that what drives me and what will keep you going is having a mission. So, for example, I want to help 500,000 people. That's my mission. I want them to be able to love their life, be really happy, and do things that they never ever thought possible. So that, you know, I want you to sort of like, perhaps thinking that you might not be now, that you'd be able to come up with it, but I'd love to push you a little bit more with your vision and go, actually just go for it, you know, and then take yourself from there. Because what people don't realize is, you know, what you've got is guts, you know, a lot of it, and determination and drive to keep going. And I just would love you to, you know, and out of anything, all the other skills, you can learn them. But if you've not got that character to just keep going and keep going and keep going, you're not going to achieve anything, you know. And again, 2 years ago, that's what you've achieved. You can achieve so much more. And so that's what I want to invite you to do. So if you've got some ideas now, fantastic. If you go, look, okay, no, I'd love to, you know, I'm going to give you a couple of days, and I want you to come back to me and go, in 3 years' time, this is what I want to do.
Well, there is one ambition that I've had for a number of years now, and that would be to have at least one of my novels turned into a short film. Actually see it on screen. That for me, you know, whenever because that's one of the things that I love about my process when I'm writing. When I'm really into it, when I'm really in love with where it's going, I can see it in my mind as I'm writing it and I'm creating it. I can see it in my mind like a movie. Like, I can literally close my eyes and see it now. I know what all the characters look like, where they live, what their apartments are like, where they work, what clothes they wear, what they eat, where they go for the, you know, on the social life. What's the neighborhood like? Where they live, and who are their friends, the type of people that they hang out with. What's their relationship with their family? Are they with them a lot, and all that kind of thing. I literally see it as I'm creating it like a movie, and I would just love to be able to take what's in my head with these stories and actually see it on screen. That for me would be the ultimate. Yes, to get the best-selling authors in America, Canada, Europe, as well as the UK, but to have my name on the bottom of a film credit as being the writer, for me would be the gold medal. That would be awesome.
A couple of points I'd like to say with this is that, have you reached out and do you know any people, LGBT, sort of like influencers, LGBTQ, I think it is now, isn't it?
I'll say it slowly. LGBT. LGBT. There you go. Say it slowly.
Yeah, LGBT. There you go.
There you go.
finally got it. So is there anything that any influencers that you know of or you could look for? I'll tell you what I'll do is be one of the jobs that I do after this is I'll go and have a look, because I'm sure that there is whether it's a podcast or there's an influencer list that you can get hold of, and you can sort of search for your sort of like you know, influencer thing, if I get the right word out. But yeah, I'll send it over to you, and then just sort of like reach out to some of them. You know, if they're going to say no, they're going to say no, but it might give you that opportunity to reach out and just say, look, you know, this is what I'm doing, and you know, is there any help you can give me, anything like that? You know, they might put you in help with something like that. You know, just a suggestion maybe as well. And a quick question with this as well. Are you any communities in regards to sort of this? You know, that you know, like any sort
Well,
of like groups or?
yeah, I am. I'm part of the Diva community, and they've recently set up an online sort of community group on Facebook as a result of being in lockdown. So I've actually got a lot of information from people within that community, because I've been putting shout outs in terms of writing this book, you know, looking for really specific knowledge of the area, you know, and street names and names of bars and restaurants and districts and things like that, because it's in a place that I've never been to. It's not a place I'm familiar with. So I've actually reached out to a lot of people on the Diva page, and actually got direct information from people that live right in the center of the community area that I'm focusing the book on. So I've got a lot of support from them, which is brilliant. And there's people there from a whole range of walks of life, and there's filmmakers and authors. I'm actually fortunate that I'm good friends, and I'm in contact with a lot of the leading authors within the sort of the lesbian fiction world, and I'm always tapping on their metaphorical doors or in their Facebook inboxes, literally, and asking their advice about things. And I'm quite cheeky like that. I'm quite brave like that.
Good
There's a few that are like I have on a high pedestal that I wouldn't even look at. You know, I'd fall apart if I even looked at them. But you know, there's a small selection of a few that you know I'll speak to about getting their advice on things. And one of them I actually did about my book as well, because I originally had the front cover, completely different idea that I went with, and then I suddenly thought, oh, it's a bit bland, it's a bit too, it doesn't really stand out, it doesn't really make a statement. So I came up with a few templated ideas on Canva and just threw a few things together. Got in touch with this author who's also a filmmaker, and she has a lot of short films, mini series online within my genre. So she's gone from being an author to a filmmaker, and got a lot of information from her, and advice about the cover, and it turned out completely different, and I'm so happy with it based on the feedback that she gave me on it. And I'm so glad, you know, she's like really up there in my estimation. I was like, oh, shall I? Is it a bit cheeky? You know, shall I? So if I don't ask, I will never know. And she could be so willing. And you know, she messaged me back straight away, and I sent her, you know, the mock-ups of the templates. And she gave me feedback on each and every one, and made a few suggestions here and there, and came to me with a lot of knowledge that she'd gone and research in terms of colors. You know, the science behind colors and what attracts us to certain color schemes and images and all of that, which I hadn't even considered. But she was so knowledgeable, and she was so willing to give me that information. I came away from it thinking, I've got an even better cover now than I started off with. So I was really pleased.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Have you asked her what it would take for your book to be on the screen, a short film? Have you asked her that?
I've not asked her specifically. I've asked a couple of others, and their answer comes down to the same thing, and that's money. And that one of them who I've actually just watched this afternoon, her recent short film. I watched it today, and her and her partner have had to remortgage the house because they're funding all of the projects, they're funding it all themselves. And that's just to get a really short, like 15-20 minute film out there. It's big business, it's mega bucks. And I've known authors that have gone from author work into sort of being screenwriters and filmmakers and failed and had to rethink their whole careers and start again because they've gone into it, and just because it's quite a competitive world out there, and it seems like the more money you have, the better chances that you have of it succeeding. And she failed just because she just didn't have the money to back her up. So it's that awful money thing again. It seems to be a real.
It's also that sort of mindset as well. You put a lot of an abundance, then you find that actually work in your face.
I'm losing the sound a bit, Chris. I'm losing the sound. You're freezing quite a bit, and I'm losing you. I can see you, but the sound's gone really bad.
So, as far as the vision is concerned, I'm quite excited for you, and I feel that you can, this is something that you can do. And I'll just sort of reiterate, because we were just talking while we got the sort of signal back right, that, dreaming about it happening for you. I feel that's something that you need to do it each and every day, and you having that obsession that actually this is going to happen. A lot of people say, oh, follow your passions. It needs to be more than a passion. It needs to be an obsession that this is going to happen. And it isn't a case of doing 15, 20 hours a day. It's just about, each day doing something that you really believe in and having that love for it. And that's something that I've sort of been learning a lot more, rather than going, right, okay, I'm going to be happy when in 3 years' time I sit there at the premiere of my film. It could be in the cinema, it could be on Netflix, whatever. No, I'll be happy now because I'm living my best life and I'm doing my best towards that. You don't have any control over what happens, but just going for something, going for your dreams. Now, my first book, I put on there a list of things I want to do in 5 years, and you know what? Pretty much all of them have happened. So that's something that which is pretty cool. I look back and what I've done that. Oh wow, okay, that's pretty cool. So that's something I'm really quite proud of. So just before we finish, just 2 questions I'd like to ask you. The first one is, what's been the biggest learning you've got from this conversation that we've had today?
Biggest learning, I think, is just to maintain that self-belief. Keep it, because don't give up. And you're right, you said that about my character and what I overcome and achieved up to this point. And you're right, I never give up, and I won't give up with this. In whatever format I end up doing it in the next 5-10 years time, whatever, I believe in the fiction that I'm creating. I believe in the stories. I believe in the characters that I'm bringing to the audience, and I believe that there's an audience out there who want to read what I'm writing, and because of that keeps me going. And even on a bad day, I can look back and say, well, I've got 3 novels written so far. I've got a Diva award. I'm having problems with this, but I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to make it happen. I think that's the biggest thing. Isn't that my mindset? My mindset does really struggle if I'm having a bad day for whatever reason, either physically or emotionally anyway. My self-belief in my ability as a writer will dip. But I think as long as I keep reminding myself of the good and what I have created and what the dream is and what I visualize for myself in 5-10 years time or whatever, I think, and as long as I feel that there's a story in me, which there are. I mean, I've got files on my computer open. Well, I've started at least another 6 or 7 books because I'm so creatively inspired. All the time there's all sorts of different things that I'm coming up with. I've got reams and reams of files of new concepts for books, so I've got books in me for at least the next 10 years if I stay disciplined enough and actually see them through. And I think that for me was really key. I need to remind myself I don't give up. Sally doesn't give up, because I've been through so much in my life. Just being in the world as a disabled person from birth, I've been through so much anyway, and all the other stuff that's happened as my life story has progressed, and I'm still here and I'm still fighting. And yet 3 years ago I could have quite easily have stopped writing because of how negative I was feeling. But since then, I published one other novel, I've got an award, and I'm in the middle of publishing the next novel. Regardless of all the stuff that happened before and how it made me feel, deep down I knew that none of the negative stuff was true, and that I was a good writer, and that there was an audience out there that needed to read my work, and that keeps me going.
I think you've got a powerful story, if I'm honest. And I think that the only issue you've got is that not enough people know about you. And I think that's really what it is, if I'm honest. I think you're going to achieve it. Again, if you ever need any help and advice, you're more than welcome. You've got the group there too. And the last question I'd like to sort of ask you is there any questions that you've got for me that you'd like to know? It doesn't have to be specific about mindset. It could be anything to do with being an author.
Oh, I think I've got very practical issues that I still haven't got to grips with. One of the reasons why I've had to source out doing the final edit ready for print of this one is because I've not yet been told directly or shown directly, using the software that I use, which is an iPad, how to set up a page, proper page formatting for my manuscript that can be uploaded to Amazon. I'm having to source that out to somebody else who fortunately has said that they'll do it for nothing because they helped me out with the last book. But I'd like to be able to know that myself. And everywhere I've looked and everywhere I've asked up to now, I've not been able to get the right answers, because all of the information that I've seen, that I've looked for the answers to this on YouTube and YouTube tutorials, their software doesn't appear on screen, doesn't seem to be the same as mine. So I can't follow their step-by-step guides because their page looks completely different to the page that I'm using on my software or on my computer. So it's really frustrating. And also how I go about asking more people to sort of help me with the sort of the editing and the proofreading and giving me the feedback in terms of the story and their thoughts and feelings, and how I get people to do that for me for free. Because like I say, my biggest hang up is from the financial point of view. I can't afford to sort of ask people to do it and then for them to turn around and say, well, that'll cost you 400 quid, thanks, I edited that, it's going to cost you 400 quid. I can't afford to do that. I need to know, are there ways around all of that I can use to get all of that done for free?
Sure. Okay. As far as looking on YouTube, I'll have to perhaps suggest maybe looking on Pinterest and see if anything there. It'd probably not be videos, but Pinterest is the third biggest search engine, so there might be some options on there. And I imagine what they're doing is they're giving you that information. It's up to 3 years, so obviously by now the software is upgraded and been is better. So that might be the challenge with that. Obviously, I am fortunate to be able to portion out my formatting to somebody else, so I'm not in a great place, although I did do my first one, and I do understand how tough formatting a book It is, and how
Yeah.
much I pulled my hair out, which is a little left, although at the
Oh.
moment it's not really what. But yeah, so there's that. So then the second thing, obviously, is I would suggest looking on Facebook for groups that, and I've not done this for several years, but I know that there are beta reader groups, there are proofreader groups and stuff like that. So have a look in there and just say, look, I'm looking for somebody to do it. Would you be interested in doing it for me? I've had in the past people do it. But again, I should maybe put it in the Successful Writers group and see if there's anybody that might be interested in that. I can't guarantee that, but have a look on Facebook, join a few of these groups and see if there's anybody available, because I did get a few people suggesting, and again, just talk a bit about your story as well and get people to sort of like, wow, okay, we want to help you and see what happens. But they'll be my suggestions that I would look into. Again, most people will be going, yes, that'll be $100, please.
Exactly.
So you have to be careful of that. But yeah, that's what I would suggest you look at. There's no harm in looking.
Because I had an experience where very early on with this manuscript of this current book, I reached out to one of the groups that I'm on to help out with the editing, just because I wanted to do as much of the editing and the proofreading of it as I was going along, so I had less to do at the end. And somebody volunteered to do it for me, so I sent them the first sort of 20 or 30 pages, which is where I was at that particular point. And they've disappeared. They kept messaging me back a few times and said, oh, they were having some issues and apologizing for not being back in touch and not doing the work and blah blah blah. But this is right at the very start of lockdown, sort of at the end of March, and they've not got back to me. They've just disappeared.
No, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. So I feel very frustrated, and I'm also worried about copyright, because I'm thinking, who's to say that she's not using what I've sent her to create something for herself, put her name on it? I've got no way of getting in contact with her, because she's come off Facebook, so I can't even message her on Facebook.
Right. Okay.
So it's very frustrating.
Yeah, but just give it a whirl and see what they say. I'm sure that you should be getting some people come back to you, and hopefully they'll be more reliable than the other lady. But again, there might be something going on with her as well. So
yeah.
Aware of that. But yeah, is there any other questions you've got?
In terms of asking for help, for the free help, I was going to say, is it okay for me to ask questions and ask for help within your groups?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that. One thing I'm going to be doing, and it's going to probably, I think it's Tuesday, I'm asking, Facebook have set something up now where you've got video calls. So my aim is going to be to set up events, and we're going to have like writing days where,
is that the Facebook rooms that you're talking about, the messenger rooms? Yeah, they're good. Yeah.
I'm really excited about doing that. It's just an idea that I had when I was at work yesterday. I thought, I'll give that a whirl. So I thought that might be quite helpful for us as well. And I want to try and do it for our workshops as well. So where I go, right, okay, this is how you do this, rather than just going, right, it's done, right, next. I actually sit there and I talk to you guys through it, and you go, hang on a minute, I don't understand, talk you through it, and we can, hopefully you'll be able to see your screens, and I can talk you through how I can help you and actually do some proper workshops.
Yeah.
Rather than like,
you can do share screens in Zoom as well, can't you? So if you could have the camera on your computer when you're doing something on your computer, and you can share that with people, but that's in Zoom. How that works, how that would work in the Facebook rooms, I'm not sure.
I'll be able to use the phone onto the thing, and I think I'll probably try and do it that way. That'll be my
But that would be interested. I'd definitely would be interested in coming along to a few of those.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to launching that, seeing what people think. I've got 3 ideas that I want to do. So one of them is just all going in there and just sitting and doing work. No sort of like comparing notes or anything like that. Just going, right, okay, my half an hour today, and I'm going to write. and that's it. Hi, how you going? Yeah, good, good, right, okay, let's get on right. So we've all got that sort of focus. Oh, 7 o'clock or whenever it is, I'm doing that's when I see if that works as well. But again, like I say to you, you've got to try these things. You've got to go for it. You know, yes, you're going to get rejection most of the time, but that one time we go, oh, hang on a minute, right, okay, this is working for me. You know, and life is amazing. You know, I wouldn't expect it to be sitting here talking to you on a podcast, you know, having this powerful chat, you know, 6 months ago. So, you know, life builds you and moves you in the way that you wouldn't expect, and I'm really excited for it.
I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for being my guest today. I really, really appreciate it. And again, you know, you sort of like hope that you give other people, when other people are, you know, sitting there going, actually, you know, I can't see a way out. You know, you're going, right, you know, I want to write another book. You know, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to see my name on the screen. You know, I want to be a rock star. So
yeah, absolutely.
so, which is fantastic. So, you know, you just understand that actually, you know, little ripples can make massive big effects, and just to keep going and have fun. If you do need any encouragement, you know, reach out to our group. You know, we're all, every single one of us, and again, you know, I've talked to loads of authors. Every single one of us has self-doubt and thinks that their dog could do a better job. Trust me, because that's what I felt. So
yeah.
So thank you, Sally. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you, Chris. Thank you.